Hello and good evening. My name is Daniel Morales and I am here as part of the Let's Talk video blog. So today let's talk about politics. Today we're talking about politics. Well, an aspect of it, one that is very important, especially for us Mexicans. And that topic is citizen participation. Now, this topic is very important because, as important as citizen participation is, we don't see much of it here. Well, at least we don't see correct citizen participation because, at least from our perspective, citizen participation is not only a right but a responsibility. And, well, there are many obstacles in this country for the informed vote. Firstly, misinformation and corruption, but also negligence. We have a lot of negligence in this country because we refuse to inform ourselves on politics and what matters. Now, while it may seem like I am just ranting, citizen participation is very important because while democracy, some might argue, is not necessary, it is what we have. And ideally, it is very good, better than many of the other systems, let's say, that we will not discuss today. But let's say democracy is here to stay, which I believe it should. Democracy can work, we just have to make it work. Now, there have been many instances in which democracy has not worked correctly, in Mexico specifically. The example is the massacre of Tlatelolco, a massacre which should not have happened. This is one of the most horrendous massacres because the government brought it on to its own people just because they wanted to sweep the problems under the rug rather than solve them.
Collective society needs to participate in order to justify utilizing the democratic system, and it has to be an informed participation supported by education, reliable information, and the government. In the current political landscape in Mexico, there is not enough participation. This is due to many factors, such as misinformation, corruption, but most importantly, neglect. Some people neglect their duty to participate, and in our perspective is that participation is not only a right, but an obligation. We validate our point of view through the inevitable outcome of a non-participative society, a disengaged world where we don't even belong in the backseat of decision-making.
We agree with the concept of democracy and believe that it is very important for each member of society to express their right to vote and to voice their opinion. Obviously, making an educated choice based on studying what each candidate for said election proposes, because voting just for voting isn't exactly democracy.
There is also an opposite point of view. We have seen it in class, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau has said that if the gods had a nation, they would govern themselves with democracy. But we are not gods, so are we even fit to rule ourselves? The fallacy that we observe in this argument is not that it's baseless, but rather the alternative. The parts of philosophy that we'll use to analyze the problem is political philosophy, ethics, and liberal education. Our point of view is biased towards our perception of democracy, and as Mexicans, we have an idea of democracy that is faulted by years of political and economical corruption. Mexico's political environment is riddled with manipulation of the masses, censorship, miscommunication, and silence. Although we believe that democracy is very important in the development of a healthy community, we also believe that it is more important to culture ourselves and inform ourselves and not let us get manipulated by words of mass culture that are utilized by politicians that are more concerned with power that comes with their positions in the government than the well-being of the citizens.
Finally, we would like to offer some data for a final reflection. In Mexico, 64% of eligible voters actually vote. In our high school election at Prepatec Eugenio Garza Lagüera, 50% of students voted. Now, here comes the numbers that make this seem rough. In Sweden, a first world country, 87% of eligible participants voted. Let that sink in. Our participation as a society has more in common with a high school than it has with a first world country. I'm not saying anything, but it does leave you thinking.